Hi, I'm David Robertson, Director of Career Services at the School of International Relations and Pacific Studies at UC San Diego. And I'm going to spend a few minutes talking a little bit about salary negotiation. That's one of the more difficult topics and one that I certainly get a lot of questions about from our graduate students. There's lots that could be covered. I'll spend just a couple minutes on this with the most important points. First of all, I think it's important to spend some time thinking about this right away in advance of even applying for jobs, because salary negotiation starts right then. You often get questions on your um, applications and things like that about expected salary. So I recommend people as much as possible not answer that question. That you put things like you're looking for a fair and competitive salary. Sometimes applications, if they're online, won't let you do that. They want digits in there. So you potentially could put on things like zeros or X's, just indicating you saw it, you can move on, but you're choosing not to answer. That's a potential risk. They might not like that and discount your application. But if you get the salary wrong, that's going to hurt you anyway. The bottom line is they ask this because they use it as a quick way to weed you out of the pool. For example, if you are applying for a job and you say that you think you should be making $75,000 in the job, but they were planning to pay $50,000, they're probably not going to call you. They're going to assume that you won't take the job if offered, and even if you do take the job, then you won't be happy there and you'll leave pretty soon. So that's why they ask the question. So you want to do your research in advance and know what the salary is likely to be. And you can do that by talking to friends, alumni, people that know about the company that work there. You could talk to your career advisor, someone like me. And you'd also want to look online, do some research on things like salary.com, careerbliss.com, and glassdoor.com, as well as vault.com, which you have to pay for and you can access through Port Triton here at UCSD's main campus career center. So once you know what the amount, what the salary you think is about in a range, let's say you find out you think it's $50,000 to $60,000, then just keep that information to yourself for now until asked. You do not want to bring up money. You don't want to be the first one. They often say this, I don't know if it's true, but I bet it is, that the first person to give a number loses. You have to remember that when you negotiate, you want to be at an equal and fair position. When you are applying for something, you're inherently inferior, right? Because you have something, they have something that you want. But once there's been a job offer, now you're equal, and now you have something they want too. So that's a much more powerful position to negotiate from. So that's why you want to, not give a number. So again, most importantly, starting from the very beginning, try not to give a number, but do your research, know what it is that you think the position's going to pay, so that if you have to on an application or in a first screening interview, they'll often ask that question. If they don't ask it on the application, they'll ask you on the phone or on Skype or in person, that first interview, what's your salary expectation? Again, I recommend saying something like, I'm looking for something fair and competitive. And if they say, well, what do you mean by that? You can come back with, well, what's the range that you're thinking about for a position like this? And if they give a range, let's say, of $60,000 to $70,000, that's about what you thought. Since you've done your research, you can certainly say, that's about what I thought. I've done a little research on this, so I think something within that range is fine. And if true, you could say, however, based on my qualifications, my previous experience, my master's degree that I'm getting, I would see myself at a higher point within that range. You could give that disclaimer. If they come back and say, no, we don't have a range, then they're asking you a third time, you better give them something. So you could give that range of $60,000 to $70,000 based on the research you did and that disclaimer about perhaps being at the higher point of that range. However, if you have no work experience and things like that, you might be at the lower point of the range, then maybe you don't give that disclaimer. So those are some of the most important things right there with salary negotiation before there's even been an offer. But let's say now you get an offer. Make sure the next most important thing you do is don't say okay. Don't say okay. Resist that temptation. Instead, say thank you. Thank you for the offer. This seems like a great opportunity. I've really enjoyed my process of going through the application with and the interviewing. Everybody seems great. Of course, I'd want to see the details of the offer in writing so I can understand the full compensation package and look forward to getting that from you. When might I get that? And then you could ask, when would you need an answer? So you know when you need to get back to them. And then after that, you'd want to really think about that offer, talk to other people, your career advisor, and come up with a counteroffer that you think is fair. The goal is to get a fair salary and compensation. You don't want less than that. You don't really want more than that. Just think about if you get more than what you asked for. That sounds nice, but they're going to have pretty high expectations too. So the bottom line is to get what's fair. And I almost always encourage people to ask for more. I think most of the time, most companies leave money on the table. And I know I'd rather not look back with regrets. If I don't ask for more and then a couple of months later I'm feeling a little underpaid and boy, I'm hearing word that other people had negotiated, I'm gonna look back with regrets, But if you ask, even if they say no, at least you'll have that satisfaction of having asked. You know that you didn't leave anything on the table. So I do recommend that most of the cases, you do ask for more. Generally, about a 5% increase from what their offer is kind of standard, but of course, there's lots of exceptions to that. And I think it's important to treat that negotiation as a conversation rather than as a confrontation. If you can do it in person, it's much easier to say no over email than it is in person. So it's nice if you can sit down with someone on the same side of the table and have a frank conversation about why it is you think you need more. You've got to have specific answers to their questions about why you need more. It's got to be because of specific courses you've taken, specific skills you have, experience you have, your degree. It's got to be because of that, not because of you have loans to pay off. That has nothing to do with the specific job, right? So come up with the specific things that you need and want. I think it's good to talk about salary first. Most people talk about the easier thing first, but I say talk about salary first rather than other things. Because if they say yes to all the easy things, it makes it easier for them to say no to the salary increase. And that's the big ticket item because that continues on, right? Rather than just relocation expenses, which is a one-time deal. So if you ask, I think, they may need to go back and think about it some more and come back to you, talk to other people. They may have an answer for you right then. Even if they come back and say no, you might want to push back a little bit. You don't have much to risk. They want you. You've asked, they've asked to hire you. And so they don't want to have to go to a second person. So you're in the driver's seat a little bit here. So take advantage of that and maybe push back a little bit. Of course, in a very professional, thoughtful way. That maybe they could go back and talk to someone else about it, if possible. Or if that's not possible, maybe you talk about having an earlier review. Maybe most companies will review after a year and then give a raise. Maybe you could ask for 3 months or 6 months. You could tell them that you're going to be able to hit the ground running. You're going to prove yourself quickly. You'd love an opportunity to talk about, reviewing your performance after 3 months or 6 months. To give you the opportunity to get a raise earlier than a year. So to summarize, I think the two most important things to take away from this is that salary negotiation starts right when you apply, with that initial application, with the initial interview. Make sure that you try not to give a number, and if you do have to give a number, give it in a range after having done some research, okay? And then the second thing is, once you've received that offer, don't say yes. Just say, okay, thank you. I'm sorry, don't say yes and don't say okay. Just say thank you and that you need to think about it. You look forward to getting the details in writing and confirm when you need to get back with them. So hopefully that are a few tips that will help you with salary negotiation. Thanks.